It's about the I gotta say, it's the stupidest thing in sports.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State. Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe.
Phoenix has the ball, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
DeBrincat gets it back to Gosses, Barron across, now King.
Timberman, they score! Raymond!
Green 5, Johnson to throw, and it's caught by St. Brown for a first down.
This is BS Sports.
And welcome in. Welcome in on a Tuesday for some more BS Sports. We are back, and I got to be honest with all of you. Okay, you know I'm nothing but honest. It was very slow news week. Okay, there's not a whole lot to talk about because not a whole lot happened. We're gonna go over the few moves that have been made. There's really only one headlining move that I want to start the show with, and then I got a little Pistons talk because there's something I gotta get off my chest. All right, there's something that I gotta tell the people, and I gotta see where everybody is at in Pistonsville. A little bit of NHL offseason with the Red Wings making a fine signing there. The MLB All-Star rosters are here. And the Tigers right now, I was going to have good vibes, and now they're down 3-0 in the first inning. Well, after the first inning, they were down 3-0. So we were going to have good vibes with the Tigers until we weren't, until Kenta Maeda decided to start pitching. That was about when the vibes ended. But I guess we'll just get started with these a couple of moves here. And by a couple of moves, I mean one big move, and then one thing that I am very saddened about. All right, and I'm sad and angry about this. Now, actually, you know what? We're gonna start with that. Okay, so this is older news, so it makes the most sense. We're gonna start with this. All right, so. As we all know at this point, it is well established. The Los Angeles Lakers selecting Bronny James. They've already started playing summer league games. He had an electric performance a couple of days ago. He had 4 more points than me and you, so that's fantastic stuff from Bronny James. Clearly worth the second round pick. But Woj dropped a little bit of a bomb, and now this might not have been a bomb to everybody else. It was a bomb to me. It was about to me in my heart and what I just in my root for content mindset. This was a bomb for me. Okay. Woj tweeted out that Bronny James is expected to move to the G League after debuting with LeBron on the Lakers. You know what this is? You know what this is cruel. Okay. I was promised Bronny James on the Lakers all year long. You spent a second round pick on him. Not that that's really, I mean, a lot of guys get taken in the second round, go to the G. But I was told that he did not get picked because he was LeBron James' son. I was told no. The Lakers are a serious franchise. They don't coach that stuff. To quote a old Lions coach. I want to say it was Lions coach. Anyway, they don't do that kind of stuff. They're about nothing but game and basketball, and they don't do any of that. So I have a demand. All right, Woj, I know you dropped this bomb, but JJ Redick, he's your old colleague, Wojnarowski. You guys used to both work for ESPN. Here's my demand. All right, and I have no way of enforcing this in reality. Obviously, unfortunately, unbeknownst to a lot of people, this is news. It's news to a lot of people. It was news to me a couple of days ago when I found it out. Unfortunately, JJ Redick does not listen to me. When I tell JJ Redick to do something, he usually just does the wrong thing, which, I'm telling him to do something. He does something else. That means it's the wrong thing. So unfortunately, he does not listen to me. But here's my proposition. You want to prove to me that Bronny James was not just picked to play with LeBron for a single game or what, that you actually genuinely believe in him as a prospect. Keep him on the Lakers. And better yet, to prove all the haters wrong, to prove idiots like me sitting in their apartment yelling about basketball, to prove idiots like me wrong, start him. I want you to start him. I want you to look D'Angelo Russell in the eyes and say, D'Lo, you're going to the bench. I want you to look Austin Reeves in the eyes and what was it? What was they call it? White, did they call him White Kobe or like not White Trash Kobe? That would be mean. Hillbilly Kobe. That's what it was. Hillbilly Kobe. You're going to the bench. It's Bronny James's time. And just give it to me. Like, here's the thing, because my fear, and I don't know how substantiated this is that one game that he's gonna play with LeBron, it's gonna be like one possession, and they're like, all right, Bronny, you're on the bench. You're done. You're off. You're gone. The assignment complete. LeBron got to play one sequence of offense and defense with his son, and then they're just gonna be done with him. And look, I mean, again, I'm not a Lakers fan. If anything, I am a certifiable Lakers hater. I do not like the Lakers. I like watching the Lakers lose. It's one of my all-time favorite things to watch, really, is watching the Lakers lose. So with all of that, if the Lakers are gonna be bad, which they usually are at this point, if they're going to be bad, can they at least be fun bad? Can they at least be, the Bronny James like hate train? Can I at least get that? No. JJ Redick wants to try to win games. He wants to prove himself. He doesn't want to play a G League player. To which I say, nay, JJ, nay. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to idiots like me. Start Bronny James. Do it. Prove to us that Bronny James is the next big thing, that he's the next LeBron James, which in a way he actually, in a like very real biological sense, he is the next LeBron James, because he's LeBron James Jr. is his full name, I believe. His real name is not Bronny. I mean, look, we're not going to get into the whole LeBron as a name to begin with, but anyways, I just here when I saw this news, I felt a little bit of like it was. Let me get my thoughts together. It's like I was sort of like when they picked him, I was like, oh, here we go. This is gonna be a total circus. He's gonna be playing. He's gonna be terrible, and LeBron's gonna defend him, and he's gonna say people in the media are too mean. And JJ is gonna say we believe in Bronny. We're gonna let him struggle through the. He's gonna get through this, all that. And then they say no. The Lakers giveth, and the Lakers taketh away. And I could not be more upset about that. I was so looking forward to it, and they took it away from me. Now I guess it's not totally out of the realm of possibility that Bronny James does end up playing more than just one game for the Lakers this year. Now, by it being a possibility, I mean, like somebody's like leg falls off and they need a body on the court for when, because they need another person. But do I think he will earn his way to the team? Probably not. And it's hard to say whether or not we will ever really know if he even earned his way onto the team. Because let's say he goes to the G League and he tears it up. I have some doubts. I mean, I guess it's not impossible. The G League is the G League, so I don't think there's a lot of talent there one way or the other. But let's say he does make the team. How would I even be able to verify that information in a way? Like, how would I know that he earned his way, but some other guy on the Lakers actually should have been the one who gets the call up, so to speak? I won't really know. And that's the problem with drafting your son, LeBron. That's the problem. Is any achievement or any like praise that he gets is entirely, or any playing time, anything that he gets as a benefit from the team is entirely up to massive scrutiny. So, okay, fine. You want to tease us, LA? You want to do this nonsense and take away our dreams, make me sad? Fine, you can do that, but like I just don't like that. That's not very nice. I don't want let me have fun. Okay? Let me have fun. And speaking of having fun, I got to talk about this DeMar DeRozan trade or sign and trade. So DeMar DeRozan I don't. DeMar DeRozan is one of those players. Like, if I pull up DeMar DeRozan's stats and you just look at them in a vacuum, you're like, yeah, this is a really solid player. You know, he shot an effective field goal percentage of 50%. Pretty good. One out of every two of your shots are going in. He's a 6-time All-Star, a 3-time All-NBA, 24 points a game last year, 4 boards, 5 assists, 48% from the field, 33% from 3. That's not, blowing you out of the water, but it's decent numbers, for he's a power forward. But he's played a variety of positions. I think he basically at this point, he plays shooting forward. But either way, he's not that far removed from an all-star berth. He was second in comeback player of the year. Plays, he led the league last year in minutes played per game. 37 minutes. He was on the court, basically every minute of every game last year in the regular season. And he moves on to the Sacramento Kings, a team that is young, a team that needs probably another, borderline star. I don't know if I call him a superstar. It's hard, like, at this point, since his, Toronto days, which was probably one of his peak, he had a little bit of a stint there with the Spurs. And then the Chicago days, it's hard to really pinpoint, what is on him and what is on Chicago Bulls being a terrible organization. But it's like, is he a needle mover or is he just a really solid player? Because, let's pull up the Sacramento Kings roster, right? Let me see if I can just get last year's roster at least. You have a lot of solid players. Obviously, you got De'Aaron Fox. You got Keegan Murray. Sabonis. And you got some contributors there with Malik Monk. I was going to say Malik Monk. He's coming back. Got extended. He's a really solid player. And then you throw in there, the DeMar DeRozan. And to be clear, they let's see what the package is specifically. Can I find the trade? They send Harrison Barnes to the San Antonio Spurs and Chris Duarte, 2 second-round picks to Chicago Bulls, as well as cash. So if you're the Bulls, as far as I'm concerned, that's a great ad, I'd say. That's really, really solid value for DeMar DeRozan. Maybe you get a lot more. He's sort of in the twilight of his career, you would think. You never know. Maybe the Bulls get totally swindled here and they could have gotten a first-round pick, but as far as I'm concerned, they're in a full rebuild mode. They're just getting rid of assets. They're probably trying to look if they can move Zach LaVine, but that's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people, a lot of players, I should say. And the Kings also send a 2032 unprotected pick swap to the Spurs. That's 8 years from now. What is that even? What is the value of a 2032 pick for the Kings? How can you even determine what that looks like? Like 3 to 4 years, even 5 years, you might be able to extrapolate something, be like, okay, yeah, in 5 years, XY player is going to be this age, are they going to be able to keep these guys? It's like you could figure 8 years. We're talking like the entire roster is going to be different probably, assuming it doesn't work out, I guess. But either way, that's a whole other tangent. But I would say an overall win for the Kings. You bring in a really solid player. He's going to be at the very least, he's going to be better than Harrison Barnes. Not that Harrison Barnes is a bad player, but he's not as good as DeMar DeRozan was. Last year, Harrison Barnes, 12 points a game, 3 boards, an assist a game, shot 38% from 3, so he's a better 3-point shooter, but, not that guy. He's certainly another guy probably past his peak if he really ever truly had one. I can see you want to ring with the Warriors. That counts for something, I guess. But either way, I think it's a decent move. And then for the Spurs end of it, because they pick up Harrison Barnes, it's an adult in the room. And that's all you can ask for San Antonio, a rebuilding team around Victor. Harrison Barnes, a vet. He's going to have great he's going to insulate Victor Wembanyama's development for sure. So, I mean, like, honestly, like, this just feels like a Michael Scott win-win-win trade. Like, looking at it and like sort of talking through it, if there's a team that could potentially be seen as a loser, I guess you'd say Chicago. Because San Antonio, I mean, yeah, you get Harrison Barnes, and okay, if it doesn't work, whatever, you suck anyway. It's not that big of a deal. For the Bulls, I guess the only fear is like if DeMar DeRozan goes out next year and has an All NBA caliber season, and they could have gotten higher value for him. But to me, it's like, what are you gonna do? It's what the market was bearing this. If this was the best offer they could have gotten for DeMar DeRozan, then you take it. And in the NBA, it really is a lot about just taking a bunch of assets and seeing what you can do with them. So I guess I'd call this a win-win-win. Look at me. I'm being nice for once. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? It was raining earlier and it just like stopped. I don't know. I just wanted to make that observation. I got nothing else to add there. I just wanted to point out that it was raining. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, the Tigers are now losing 6-0 to the Guardians. So, yeah, we are so back. We are so back. So I got a couple of things to talk about with the Pistons. All right, we have to have a discussion as fans, and I say that somewhat sarcastically because I don't know how many of you are even Pistons fans. I'm sure many of you are, but I got a couple of moves the Pistons made over the past week. First, a 1-year deal to Malik Beasley out of the Milwaukee Bucks. Last year, shot 41% from 3, apparently, according to this. Hold on, let me look that up. Is he really? No way. Not Malik Monk. Malik Beasley. I don't know what that article was citing. He did shoot 41%. Never mind. I stand correct. So, very good 3-point shooter last year with the Bucks. Very good field goal shooter with the Bucks. 44% from the field, 59% effective field goal percentage, which is really good. Not a lot of points on the board. 11 points, 3 rebounds, and an assist and a half. But Malik Beasley, they signed him. I think it was a good sign. I asked Seth, who is a Bucks fan, not here right now. He's currently on a plane right now. He's flying back to Michigan from California. So he will be, I don't know if he'll be back next week. It depends on his work schedule. So that's its own thing. But anyway, he approves of Malik Beasley. So from a Bucks fan, he's a good player. And it's a 1-year deal. If he sucks, whatever, you cut him loose. If he's good, he's going to be a positive element of the offense for the Pistons this upcoming season, which they need literally any positive influence on the offense. But another move that was made was re-signing Simone Fettuccini, or whatever I ended up calling him. This guy that we traded for at the trade deadline last year from the Utah Jazz. They signed to a 2-year, $16 million deal. So that's, for those of you who are not good at math, that's 2 years, $8 million a year for Simone Fontecchio, who, look, his numbers coming into Detroit, and I think overall were kind of just sort of okay. He shot 40% from 3 on the year, 46% from the field, 58% effective field goal percentage with 10.5 points, 3 boards, and an assist and a half. If I can see, he shot as a Piston. He shot 42% from 3, which I think is, it was a little bit higher than he did on the year. But he shot really well for Detroit, and he also averaged 15 points a game with Detroit. So he left Utah. He was traded from Utah, came to Detroit, and was a much better player than he had ever been in Utah, and individually. Now, does that mean that the Pistons have some miraculous development? No, certainly not last year. We can't really judge whether or not this upcoming coaching staff with Bickerstaff and the shooting guru, whose name escapes me, and I'm just going to call him the shooting guru. You can look up who that is. It's a guy from New Orleans, some assistant from New Orleans that was hired alongside Trajan Langdon. So they make these 2 moves. And I started to think, we get rid of Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. as well as some picks. We draft something of a project player who I admittedly I wasn't a huge fan of it, but at least if it works out, maybe you got something, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. You bring in my opinion, a respectable coach in JB Bickerstaff who helped develop the Cleveland Cavaliers as recently as, these past couple of years where they go on not a playoff run exactly, but they win a playoff series. First playoff series they had won as a franchise without LeBron since, the 1800s or whatever. And you bring in, obviously, the shooting guru who's supposed to be able to help improve the shots for some of these guys that have struggled with the Asar Thompsons, the Jaden Ivies, et cetera, et cetera. And you put it all together, and Tobias Harris, who could forget about that? Tobias Harris, you put it all together, and are the Pistons having a good offseason? Are they making competent moves? Dare I say, could they win 30 games? A measly 30. Is that possible with this team? Yes. Yes, it is. I am here. I am here to bring the hope to the Pistons fans across the world. All 45 of you guys, I'm here. I'm here to bring the gospel truth, the good news about the Detroit Pistons, which is that they have actually had a really solid offseason. All things considered. Now, before people get carried away, are they going to go win the NBA Finals? No, they're not going to do that. Are they going to go make the playoffs? Probably not. But could they make the play-in? Yeah, also probably not. But if all things go well, if everything works out, if you can have Ron Holland somehow just be this miracle worker, right? He just comes in, he's immediately a really good shooter, or Cade Cunningham becomes a 40 to 44%-ish three-point shooter. He becomes a very, very high-level three-point shooter. Ivy becomes a shooting threat. Asar Thompson goes from 18 to 30% shooting from three, on top of already his, really cool athleticism and defensive stuff that we've seen him produce. Jalen Durham becomes a, really up-and-coming potential defensive superstar or slash just rim protector kind of guy. Like, if everything goes well, and that's a bit of a stretch, then maybe we immediately can have some hope in this Trajan Langdon administration, if that's what you want to call it. Like, it's not like Trajan Langdon was taking over. I mean, obviously, they just had the worst record in franchise history. But maybe this is me, snorting the hopium like crazy. Like, they had a coach who basically didn't want to be there. They had a historically bad losing streak. They had just asset allocation that was awful. They were just a ship to nowhere, basically. They were lost at sea. And you do have pieces, potentially. Cade, I mean, obviously they seem to think he's a piece. They extended him. Is Ivy a piece? I don't know. Is Duran? Is Asar? I don't know. They haven't moved them, which tells me that I think they do think that they are pieces. I think they do think at least for right now, they don't have enough value to warrant trading them, and or they do believe that they could have an upside that is worth keeping around. I mean, in Ivy's case, he was a top 5 pick, and for a lot of people in that draft, he was seen as one of the better prospects in that draft, to the point where it was a bit of a shock that he fell to the Pistons at 5. Now, does that mean that he's going to be, Ja Morant, minus the guns, hopefully? I don't know. Is he like if he could just be, I'm trying to think of a meager example of a player who's solid but not like a superstar. Honestly, I'm gonna, because I got the Kings on my mind. I kind of want to just take a look. Like, if he could beat Keegan Murray, and actually, let me look up his stats compared to Keegan Murray. So Keegan Murray, let's see if I open this. I wish I could. Dang it, I can't. I mean, like he had about them. I mean, they had very similar stats, but Keegan Murray was a better shooter. You know, I mean, if he can get to Keegan Murray levels of shooting, I think people would be satisfied with that, given the fact Keegan Murray was taken a spot ahead of him. I want to say, something like that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, they're fairly comparable players as it stands right now. But you understand what if he can take a step forward in his development. I mean, he was an all rookie. If that means anything. But I just, the more that I think about it, and maybe this is just because the Tigers suck, and I'm already sick of having to watch a bad baseball team, that I'm just ready for the next team of my teams to start playing. And all of a sudden, the Pistons look like the next, feel-good story. And I guess it's also on top of the fact that we're not just wasting away our offseason trading for Joe Harris. I will never believe. I will never get over that emotionally. When I saw we just ate up all of our cap trading for a player that nobody even wanted. We want his ass. That's what we want. Is he on the team or did he just retire? Joe Harris playing? Oh my gosh. Wow. I can't believe he had 2 points. He played 16 games for the Pistons. 16 games. Who does he play for now? Does it say? Oh, I don't think he's on a team. Wow. That's a surprise. Anyway, sorry, I was just reminiscing about last year and having nightmares. But all of that is to say, the Pistons are making moves that indicate a level of seriousness. Now, will it all work out 3 to 4 years from now? I don't know. Maybe 3 to 4 years from now, if we're still doing this show, which I intend to be still doing this show, like, I'll be yelling about firing Trajan Langdon like I was yelling about firing Troy Weaver. Like, I don't know one way or the other, but maybe 3 to 4 years from now, we'll be talking about the Pistons in the same way that we talk about the Lions, about a team that completely turned it around, was at the bottom of the barrel in terms of, culture and failure. Like, I don't doubt that a guy like Tom Gores as an owner will spend money. My fear is whom he will spend money on. With Blake Griffin and just most recently Monty Williams. So all of that is to say, I think given the moves the Pistons have made, assuming this is the last of it, assuming signing Fontecchio, signing Beasley, assuming that's the end of it, I look at it and I think, yeah, I'm actually more confident than I was last year, actually, that this team could win 30 games. And I know that just sounds so depressing that that's like the bar. But look, we haven't had anything. Like, we've had nothing, right? Like, and to just have that, to just get yourself out of the bottom three, to get people to say, hey, look, the Pistons actually moved up a little bit in the standings. They're still bad. Still terrible, but like at least they're moving in the right direction, right? So that's just what life is like as a Detroit Pistons fan. But things could get better. So Colt Keith just hit a home run, by the way. It's 6-2, bottom of the third. Game's not over yet, which is actually true. It is not over yet. But I mean, it's kind of cool to see him hit a home run. We're gonna talk about Colt Keith in a little bit. Before we do, though, I wanted to make a little bit of a move over to the NHL because the Red Wings did something that I thought was fantastic. I love this move. Vladimir Tarasenko, the Stanley Cup champ with the Florida Panthers last year, two-time Stanley Cup champ with the St. Louis Blues as well. Two teams that never won a championship. Vladimir Tarasenko comes in, they win a championship with them. He signs with the Red Wings on a 2-year, $4.75 million contract. That's AAV. So four and a quarter a year. Or 4 3/4, not 4 1/4. For Tarasenko, look, this is an immediate, in my opinion, it's an immediate upgrade in terms of offense compared to some of the forwards that you had, or some of the forwards. He's a right winger. Some of the forwards that you had last year on your roster, namely David Perron. No disrespect to David Perron. I love when he was here. He was a good player. He's a solid team player. I mean, like last year, final game of the season, he shoots he gets that goal with the final few seconds against the Canadiens, and that was the last hope I had that the Red Wings could make the playoffs. And it might have actually worked out that we didn't make the playoffs because it might have been embarrassing. Although the season would have been a success in that way. Anyway, last year he was traded from the Senators to the Panthers, so he spent the latter half of the season with the Panthers. But he had 23 goals, 55 points, 32 assists. He was a plus 13 player. If you care much about plus minus, he was a very, very solid player. I mean, he's a vet of the league. He's been playing in the league for over a decade. He's 32, so you're getting him again somewhat in the twilight of his career, entering into his mid 30s, but he is going to be a better power play threat as far as I'm concerned than David Perron, who I believe is a year or so older. I could be wrong on that, though. Let me double check. So he is 32. And David Perron, he's much older. David Perron is much older. David Perron is 36. So you get basically a younger David Perron. So he's going to be quicker. He's going to be more effective. He's obviously got playoff experience. And what I like is that it's another one of those moves that in the middle of the season, when you're getting through it, and this is a guy that can come through and provide you 20 to 25 goals a year. And again, that's all I would ask for, is you get more of these 20, 25 goal scorers. We saw last year going into that final month how much depth this team had with guys just shooting. You had, I think the most guys with double-digit goals in the league on your team. And obviously Larkin goes down and everything just sort of falls apart. But you bring in a good player, and this to me is probably the best move of the offseason. Talbot, probably a close second. Gustafsson, definitely in the third for me, as far as the big moves that have been made. Now, does that mean that the Red Wings are done? No, that shouldn't, or at least it shouldn't be. I think potentially we could see a trade in the works. I'd love to see us make a trade for a good defenseman, maybe a Jacob Trouba. If there's other defensemen, I mean, when you're talking trades, anybody is available for the right price. So go out and trade for a elite defenseman, a great to elite defenseman. You have all the assets, you have all these prospects. Obviously, there's no guarantee one way or the other. Anything that Steve Yzerman says in press conferences, I'm just like, you know what? I don't know. I can't. Whatever he says, it's like it's all smokescreen to me. It's been that way basically. Like, he's honest to a point, right? Like, he's honest in so much as he'll say something that is technically true at the end of it, but he just wasn't telling us the whole truth, sort of thing. So, look, either way, don't want to spend too much time on this, but great player, good player, not great player. 55 points, I'll take it. And a 2-time All-Star, 2-time Cup winner. Definitely knows how to win in the playoffs and knows how to step it up at the big moments. So I think it's great selection, great pickup for Stevie Y and the Red Wings. So. All right, we're gonna round this off with some baseball, as Joey Wentz is just dialing it up, guys. Just so good, isn't he? For a time, Joey Wentz was one of our top prospects. Those are dark times. Anyway, Speaking of top prospects, we got to talk about the All-Star game. So last year, I want to say we did something similar to this. Now, I will say, this is roughly some of the some of the more difficult times of the sports year. As much as I love the All-Star game and I love baseball, even though the Tigers suck, I understand that on a week-to-week basis, there's not a whole lot to talk about specifically, but the All-Star break at least gives us something. So we got the full All-Star rosters. And I'm not going to go through every single roster slot because that's just going to take forever. I'll go through a couple of guys that really catch my attention. I mean, the starters, you got Adley. I guess I don't know who else, but I'm a little surprised that Vladimir Guerrero starts at first base. I know he's kind of been struggling this year. Maybe he's picked it up. I don't know. I haven't really looked at his stats in a while. But you got J-Ram, Jose Ramirez. Love J-Ram as much as he destroys my baseball team. Really good player, really fun player to watch. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees both making it. From the reserves, the big name, at least for me, Riley Green. Riley Green gets into the All-Star game as a reserve. First Tigers position player that got into the All-Star game since, I mean, if you want to be technical, since Miguel Cabrera a couple of years ago with Albert Pujols in their final All-Star game thing, even though Miguel Cabrera was going to play another season. I don't know why they didn't just do his next year. Anyway, Riley Green gets in. Before Riley Green, before Miguel Cabrera, it was Justin Upton. That was in 2017 was the last time the Tigers had a position player make the All-Star game. Not as a starter. I don't think Justin Upton was a starter. I could be wrong on that, but Riley Green, not a starter, but he has had a really good year. No doubt about it. I mean, looking at just the stats right now, batting .257, he's got an .845 OPS, 17 homers, 45 ribbies. He is playing to the level that I think a lot of people wanted him to. It's like he's just kind of quietly putting this production up. That's what I think is at least it's not like having me jump up and down. Like he's got good numbers. I guess for it, I don't know. There's just it's just like quiet numbers. And maybe it's just because he's just a quiet sort of do your work, not doing anything crazy. But maybe at the end of the season, if he's at 30 bombs, he's certainly at that pace with 17 home runs right now that he could hit 30 home runs. I mean, if he can continue at the rate he's going, where he just keeps getting better and better and better, he could certainly be a cornerstone piece for this franchise that is in desperate need for some hitters. And so it's good to see Riley make it. What's even better to see, and this player is no doubt about it deserving, and that's Tarik Skubal. Tarik Skubal, in my humble opinion, is the best pitcher in baseball, bar none. Right now, 132 strikeouts, 0.90 whip, 110 innings pitched, a 2.37 ERA in 110 innings. Are you kidding me, Tarik Skubal? This guy was taken in the 9th round, 255. Compare that to another pitcher of ours, Casey Mize, taken 1-1, who is a bust completely. Guy can't stay healthy, and when he is healthy, he's not all that good. But Tarik Skubal is the real deal. He is, if you don't want to say he's the best pitcher in baseball, he's at least the best pitcher in the American League. Maybe you don't even want to say it. He is a top 5 pitcher in the game. He is so good. He's electric. He's the best player on the Tigers right now. He's basically one of the only reasons I really can enjoy watching the Tigers when he's pitching, because I know that the Tigers are going to have a good shot at winning that ball game. And look, for me, I really hope that he starts the All-Star game because I think he deserves it. I think right now he's certainly the favorite in my book. Hey, Tigers fan. He's certainly a favorite in my book of winning the Cy Young for the American League. This guy is doing better than Verlander during his MVP season. I'm pretty sure those stats are still in line. Obviously, still got a lot of games left to play, but we have a special player here, and we'll see if by the end of the month he's still on the team, because obviously teams are going to be making calls about Tarik Skubal with the Tigers continuing to struggle and be out of the wild card and below 500. But well-deserved, entering the prime of his career, 27 years old, and just an elite pitcher. I got nothing else to say about that. On the National League side, you got a lot of your staples. Bryce Harper, obviously going to make it. The guy is a stud. A couple of starters here for Seth's San Diego Padres. Jerickson Profar, who is absolutely lighting it up. Let me just pull up Profar stats real quick because we're feeling good about ourselves. As I'm not really a Padres fan, but I live vicariously through Seth's Padres because at least they're a playoff team right now. But Jerickson Profar, he's got a 906 OPS, 315 batting average, 59 ribbies, 100 home runs, 14 home runs. He's got 100 hits. Profar is a stud. I mean, he sort of came out of nowhere. He's 31 years old, and I don't think he really ever, put up these kind of numbers. No, not really. Like the best year he had prior was back in the shortened season in 2020, but he has just absolutely come alive this year. He left San Diego for a time there in 2023, played a little bit in Colorado, came back, and then just started raking. I don't know, maybe San Diego figured something out within the last couple of years with him, but he has been an absolute stud, a well-deserved start for Jerickson Profar. And then as well, it's not that big of a surprise. It's Fernando Tatis, still a star, still a superstar, 822 OPS, 279 average, 36 ribbies. You'd like to see that be a little bit higher. 14 home runs, though. But still a stud. Really great player, close to entering into his prime, and he's, still a top player in the league, in the National League for sure. And yeah, really fun player to watch. So good for both those Padres. I want to say there's a couple more Padres players here. I mean, you have Will Smith. Will Smith, I feel like he is. Everybody forgets about Will Smith on the Dodgers. Like everybody, when you think of the Dodgers, you're like, oh, it's Shohei, it's Mookie, it's Freddie Freeman. Will Smith is like a sneaky good catcher. At 29 years old, he's batting 274, 846 OPS, 15 home runs, 55. Like nobody talks about Will Smith. He might be one of the more underrated players in the league right now. He is any player would love to have that kind of production from their catcher. That's all I'm saying. And then another one, here's kind of funny. Teoscar Hernandez, who was a free agent, I believe, last year. So Tigers didn't want him. He's having an all-star year with the Dodgers, batting 257, 797 OPS, 19 home runs, 60 RBIs. We don't want him, though. We don't want to block Justin Henry Malloy's 200 average. We want to block that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to block poor little Justin Henry. We don't want to do that. Anyway, I don't want to beat up on Justin Henry Malloy too much. You also have for the Padres, Jackson Merrill, as well as Luis Ariz, another player that the Padres pick up in the trade. People very mad about Luis Ariz making the All-Star game. Look, all right, I don't care about your stupid little advanced stats and your OPSs. All right. First of all, he still has a pretty good OPS, 727. That's nothing to sneeze at. And he's batting 312. I don't care. 31% of the time he gets a hit when he steps up to the plate. That, fine by me. I don't care if you want to call him a slap hitter. He doesn't have a lot of RBIs, doesn't have a lot of home runs. Understood. All this guy does is get base hits. And that is all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for. So good for Luis Ariz. And then Jackson Merrill as well. I thought I already put that link. So Jackson Merrill as well. He makes it with a 288 average, 774 OPS, 46 ribbies, 12 home runs. No pitching, they get Robert Suarez from the Padres, relief pitching as well. But either way, what are these little denotes player who's inactive or names? Okay, I see. I was like, there's these little symbols next to the names. I didn't know what those meant. But either way, All-Star game is going to be next Tuesday, so it'll be, I'm not going to preview the game necessarily, but it'll be what I'm watching probably after the show next week because it'll be the only thing that's on. So you gotta be able to watch something. So yeah, All-Star game next week, gonna be in Texas. Should be a good time. Looking forward to the home run derby next Monday as well. And yeah, it's a great time. It's a great time. Love the All-Star game. I think baseball probably does their All-Star festivities the best. And that's mostly because the players do actually try. So So, we got one more segment here I want to get to. All right. So, first of all, a little Tigers update. Schedule wise, Tigers going into this game that they're down 6-2 to the Guardians. They went into this game, though, with a 4-game win streak. Last night, they surprised me. They won in a shutout, an ugly shutout, but a shutout nonetheless. 4-1 or 4-1, 1-0 to the Guardians. And I mean, hey, look, actually, I'm just saying right now they're chipping away. It's 6-3 now, Guardians, but no, I don't have a whole lot of hope that they'll be able to come back here, but it's still early. But I don't know what to do with this team. I really don't feel great about them. They swept the Reds, and by the way, this is a really sad stat. That was their first sweep since their first series of the year. I hate it here. This is awful. This is terrible. How could anyone want to live here? This is the worst. Why would anybody volunteer to be a Tigers fan? That's what I want to know. I didn't volunteer for this. I root for them because of the hometown team. I don't. Anyways, all of that to be said, the question I asked is, are we back? And as far as I'm concerned, based on the 6-3 deficit right now, the answer is an unequivocal no. It was kind of fun to have a good weekend on the road against the Reds. This week leading into the All-Star break, probably not going to be nearly as fun. You got two teams that are leading their divisions respectively. Yeah, the Dodgers are definitely leading that division. With the Guardians leading your own division. So these are the games. If you want to just make the miraculous comeback, you got to beat your division rivals. That's for sure. And for this weekend with the Dodgers, you basically just want to come out of that and not get swept. If you can win one game, you feel good. Because the Dodgers are a World Series contender, and you are basically a minor league team, at least compared to the Dodgers. A look ahead, though, I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to give myself any amount of hope because that's stupid. You don't want to give yourself hope. Not so sad. After the All-Star break, they have the Blue Jays on the road. They go to the Guardians on the road, so they're going to have some level of familiarity there. Back to the Twins, and then back to the Guardians again to end the month. Jeez, I mean, can we play another team other than the Cleveland Guardians? Oh my gosh, that's crazy. I didn't even look at this. We played the Guardians 50% of this month. Let's see, 8, 10. We play a Guardians for a third of the days of the month this year. This in July. That's ridiculous. How did the schedule makers do this? That is absurd. But anyway, it's good to see them sweep. I'm not gonna deny that, but it's just not sustainable. And with the trade deadline, I believe. Let me actually look up. I'm pretty sure it's the 30th trade deadline. Let's see. I see. When is the trade deadline? When MLB trade deadline? It is July 30th. So July 30th, that'll be that second game of, I believe, a 3-game set against the. No, it'll just be a 2-game set against the Guardians. I don't know why, but so it'll be another. Hey, that's weird. I don't know if that's a coincidence or if that's just how this always ends up. Because last year's trade deadline was also the day of a show. So this year's trade deadline is also going to be the day of a show. So we're going to have immediate reactions to that in a couple of weeks. So that should be fun. Hopefully. Hopefully we actually do something instead of just trade Michael Lorenzen for Hao Yu Lee and then get bamboozled by Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm not over it. I'm not over it emotionally. I know it's been over, well, I've been over a year. I know it's been a year. I'm still not over it emotionally. But I wanted to take this time because I want to feel a little positive and maybe offer some glimmer of hope and good times. I want to talk about Colt Keith. I'm going to do a little bit of a not a deep dive necessarily, but at least like point out that hey, maybe we have something potentially, at least like an extra piece, right? Like not necessarily that we got, Marcus Simeon, although that'd be nice. But we might have a piece in Colt Keith, who's only 22 years old. But this year, you look at his numbers, they're not really doing much for you. Batting 245, 27 runs, 29 RBIs, just 7 home runs. I don't know if I'm assuming that doesn't include tonight's. So now he's at 8 home runs. And then a couple extra RBIs there as well. But I wanted to do just a little bit of, I don't know if you want to call this stat mining, but sure. So Colt Keith, he struggled for much of the month of June, or at least the beginning of the month, and then sort of started to turn it on a little bit. So about halfway through, let's say the month of June is 30 days. So let's do June 15th to yesterday, because they don't include today. So from June 15th to today, that would be games 61 to 80. So about, 19 games? So 19 games. Over a 19-game stretch, Colt Keith he has batted 2. That would be bad if it was 204. 304. He's got a 902 OPS. If I could see, he's got 5 home runs, 10 RBIs. So that's 10 RBIs over about 20 games. So that's about half an RBI a game. If that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? That's pretty good. All right. Like that's impressive. Batting average on balls in play. That's another, Mike special stat. That's 333. So that means that not only is he hitting the ball in general, he's making good contact in so much as when the ball is hitting to play, he's usually getting a hit. At least 33% of the time he's getting a hit, which is good. It's good stuff to see. Now, there is something of reality, and I don't want to be a party pooper, but I went to look at his Baseball Savant page, and it's not great. It's not great. He's a lot of blues, okay? Batting run value is in the 28th percentile. Fielding run value, 29th. Average exit velocity is in the 23rd percentile. Hard hit rate, 20th percentile. 29th in chase percentage. 19th in walk percentage. Like, it's not great. A lot of blues, not a whole lot of above average. His best stat is his expected batting average. He's in the 66th percentile on Baseball Savant. Above average in whiff percentage and K percentage. But overall, now, the thing is, this is taking into account the entire year. So at least I'm not totally sure. Maybe if somebody knows how to do this, they can tell me how. But I don't know how to just like break it down by, say, that same span, June 15th from onwards. But because obviously he had a really terrible month of April. He had a bad month of June. He had a pretty good month of May. And now he's had a pretty good start to the month of July. So overall, he's, according to the analytics, according to the Baseball Savant, he's not a great player. However, he is trending at this point because we look at those other stats where we look at the fact that he is, over, less than a month, about 20 days, about 20 games, I should say. He's been a 300 batter and a 900 OPS hitter. So he's on the pace potentially to make up for that bad start to where you might look at the end of it and, right now he's still a negative WAR player, negative 0.5 player on Fangraphs on the WAR. So maybe by the end of it, he's maybe half a WAR positive. And he's like a 260 hitter with, let's just say, 15 home runs, maybe 20 home runs. So we're feeling really good. Like, and he's like a 98 OPS plus, or even we want to feel real good, maybe a 108 OPS plus. If he ends up with a 108 OPS plus by the end of the season, I'll feel really good about Colt Keith, especially given the fact we did sign this guy going into the season. So we feel like it seems like the administration believes this guy is the real deal. And maybe this stretch that we have seen from Colt Keith recently is the real Colt Keith. And that beginning was just, a young player getting his sea legs a little bit. So I like Colt Keith. I really hope that he can develop into that, everyday second baseman. I don't have a whole lot of hope in the Tigers' developmental staff, but I don't know. It's a new administration. It's a new player development, mindset from President of Baseball Ops, Scott Harris. And he is still 22, so he's got a lot of room to grow. He's got a lot of potential, and we're going to have him until 2029. So that's another 5 years of Colt Keith developing. He will end the contract. He'll be, 27, 28, depending on when his birthday is. So, I think for Colt Keith, like if he can show he can continue this trajectory and end up with an above league average batting average, above league average OPS, and some pretty nice looking savant pages, then maybe the Tigers will have something. I mean, they already seem to have Riley Green. They haven't locked him up, so I'm waiting on that. But I'm sure that will come if he continues at the production he is at. And hard to feel strongly about the Tigers because they just feel like they're on the slow rebuild plan. And I get it, but you just better be right. It's sort of the thing. So not that I guess either way you better be right, but at least in the immediate, like the sort of maybe not, quick fix, but the like make bold moves strategy, I can like sort of know immediately whether or not the person is going to be right. Whereas now it's like, well, it could be 5 years until I figure out that Scott Harris isn't the guy. But either way, Colt Keith, really solid ball player, starting to grow. Hopefully he will continue at the pace that he's gone through about the past month or so. Oh yeah, and Javi Baez is back because God hates the Tigers.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
That's how I feel, Kamala. Every time, and he just grounded out. You know what?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
That's Javi Baez. Every time he steps into the black, he's just.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
I'm sorry, that'll never not be funny. For those of you who don't know what that drop is, that is the current Vice President Kamala Harris doing some interview for the BET in which she is acting about as white as me, which is impressive because I'm white and she is not. So good for her.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets indeed. Anyways, that's all I got. That's all I got. I like how I said, I feel like I do this all the time where I'm like, oh man, I don't know if we're going to have that big of a show. It's not a whole lot, but look, we managed to fill an hour. So you know what? That's a win. That's a win. Managed to fill an hour. Feeling good. Zach McKinstry just got a base hit. Here we go. Here comes the rally. Here we go. 5th inning rally. Gonna come back. Gonna tie it up with the guards. Here we go. Anyways, thank you all for coming out and stopping by. I do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment. Let's talk. Let's talk about whatever it is we talked about on the show. I love having back and forth discussions. If you're nice, if you're a jackass, I might not respond to you, or I might be snarky back, and you might not like that. So either way, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment, spread the show. Love seeing the comments. Love seeing the interaction. Love seeing you guys hanging out with the stream. We will be back again next week talking about all the sporting news of the week, and hopefully there is a little bit more excitement and fun stuff than there was this past week. I'm not sure if there will be, but either way, we'll be here next week. We'll be talking about whatever it is we can throw on there. So have a good night, everybody, and I will see you all next week. Good night. See you later. Goodbye. See ya.